Hi everyone, good day. Welcome to our session for this day. We've learned so much from the previous sessions we've tackled on our course principles and dynamics of management. And for this day, we will talk about an interesting topic that will reinforce what we've learned from the past or from the previous discussions our colleagues has taught us. And we learned that a company must formulate and execute systems strategically to succeed and thrive. We learned that from our previous sessions. The organization must adopt, exploit, and fit with all factors affecting the company. It begins with determining the company's current and present situation. For managers to manage something, they must know what they will manage. Let me reiterate that. For all managers or for all leaders of the company to be able or for them to be able to manage something, they must know what they will manage. For you to be able to manage something, you must be aware, or it all starts of the managers being aware of the company's current standing. It's very important that for us leaders or for us executives of a company, it's very important that we know the current situation or the current standing of the organization we are affiliated with. And to attain the long-term direction or objectives of the company, or for the company to be profitable, or to conceive its customer value proposition, or to craft strategies, it must understand its external and internal environment. This will build a competitive advantage and boost its performance. It must first ask the question, how well does the management fit the company's situation? It's very important for us managers to ask this very question for us to be able to strategically execute and to attain our long-term objectives, and for our organizations that we are affiliated with, for us to be able to attain those objectives, we must ask this question, and as we progress for the session, we may be able to answer it. We will determine the concepts and analytical tools for this session to zero in on a company's external environment. For this session, we will focus on the external environment. I believe our colleagues will discuss the internal environment, but for this session, we will talk about the external environment. It must meet the requirements and the contingencies of that environment to survive and prosper. From that very term, or from that discussion, the previous managers have discovered that for an organization to survive and prosper, it must meet the requirements and contingencies of the environment that they are considering. And particularly for this topic, we are considering the external environment. All outside factors and influences that impact the operation of a business and the organization must respond to or react to maintain its flow of functions are called the external environment. Now, since we've established what's the definition, or let me reiterate that, or let me repeat that, when we say external environment, it is all the outside factors and influences that impact the operation of a business, or all the factors that an organization must respond or react to maintain its flow of operations. It's called external environment. And to explain it better, let's imagine a company. First of all, you have the company itself. Everything that exists and happens within the company can be considered its internal environment. Think about the structure, the culture, its employees, the management, its shareholders, and etc. Closely surrounding the company are its competitors, suppliers, distributors, customers, or strategic partners in direct contact with the company where they interact with one another. For they have a one-way effect rather than an interaction. Now, since we have established what an external or a macro environment is, let's dig deeper into what these factors are. Since we've established the definition of what an external factor is, now since we've established what an external or macro environment is, let's dig deeper into what these factors are. For a company to scan effectively what this external or macro environment are, let's introduce the acronym PESTEL. External or macro environment can be broken down into political factors, economic conditions, socio-cultural factors, technological, environmental and ethical, and legal aspects. Looking at these six combined factors, you are less likely to miss out on any crucial external or macro environmental factors when scanning the organization's environment. To align its strategies to its current position, since a while ago we've established that for us to be able to effectively manage our organization, we must align its strategies to its current position. It must assess its external factors using PESTEL analysis. Let's go through all of them one by one. Number one of which is the political aspect, or the political forces, or the political factors. So, an example of this are, these are all, when we say political, these are all the influences on a certain degree the government has on a company or how it intervenes. It includes government policies, example of which are the regularization of employees, or mandatory hiring of locals in a certain barangay or in a certain city. Example of which, I have this company, or there's this company that I am affiliated, or that I am affiliated before, that local government unit that govern that establishment, or that governs within that company, is requiring the establishment or the company per se to hire its locals. Now, another example is the foreign trade policies, and another example is the tax policies, or here in the Philippines, we have the train tax law. It's I'm sure majority of us has experienced this law, or this tax policies that, uh, before the train law, the income tax is very high, and compared now, income tax is low. That's why companies has considered this, or companies must consider this under the political aspect in analyzing or in scanning the external environment for them to be able to incorporate into their strategies. All right. Furthermore, the government may have an impact on how a nation's education system works. That's very true. How the infrastructures may look like, or how the health sector is regulated. Okay? Now we'll proceed with the economic factors, or the economic condition of the state. Economic factors are determinants of a particular economy's performance. A company must consider this economic condition, or the economic condition of the state, in formulating strategies for management in general, because we must always remember that the performance of the economy in which a company is situated in directly affects them. Now let's proceed with socio-cultural factors. When we say socio-cultural factors, the different generations, values, beliefs, and attitudes, customs and traditions, habits and lifestyles, societal cultures, our education, language, religion, law, politics, and social organizations. Basically, sociocultural factors are, example of which are population growth rate, age distribution, career health, and lifestyle. Actually, there's a study between the baby boomers and the millennials and the Gen Z. You might want to check that out. A lot of companies have adjusted to due to the the generation, or due to the transition to another generation. A lot of companies has adjusted. Most especially companies in the US, they adjusted because of the generational transition. Millennials are millennials work attitudes are really different from baby boomers or from the past generations. All right, now let's move to another environmental factor or external environment, which is the technological factors. The pace of technological change and technical developments has the potential, of course, for wide-ranging effects on society. We are in the generation where technology exponentially grows, and the technology that surrounds favorably or unfavorably affects the operations of the organizations. Companies across industry sectors cannot survive without using the internet. That's another example, most especially during this pandemic, that a lot of us has been working from home and depends on internet or social media and sometimes sophisticated software in some companies. And to manage and use a big data in all these functional areas that we've mentioned, organizations rely on technology. And again, the perfect example of which is the work from home setup. Okay, another one is the environmental and ethical factor or forces. These factors can directly impact industries such as insurance. Of course, it will directly contribute to the insurance industry. What else? Farming and energy production. Another example is the, of course, this is very important, environmental policies and protection regulations. We have the Clean Water Act, we have the Clean Air Act, and other environmental laws. Of course, under the ethical side, corporate social responsibility policies. Of course, it's very important. There's this company, they are cosmetic company. They they are using animals in testing their product, and it's very unethical. And they violate actually the corporate social responsibility of the company. That's why NGOs are protesting against them to not use their cosmetics to animals. Lastly, for the pestle is of course the legal. These factors may overlap with political factors since both are overlapping or may interchange. They include more specific laws. That's the difference under the legal factor. Uh, of course, laws relating to wages and employment, examples of which are the 13th month pay. Since December is coming, we can relate to this much. It's actually legal, or it's actually under the legal factor. The 13th month pay. Also maternity leaves. It's under legal. That's why companies should consider this one. Okay? Now, for the company to formulate strategies that help it tap opportunities in a target market, it must integrate the pestle analysis to another type of of management tool. We've defined a while ago that it's very important for companies to consider this external environment in scanning the external environment, the acronym PESTEL. A company must consider this. And for them to be able to formulate strategies effectively, to tap opportunities in their target market, the PESTEL analysis is incorporated with the SWOT analysis. I'm sure a lot of us is familiar with SWOT analysis, but let us integrate the PESTEL analysis with SWOT analysis for an organization to formulate strategies that helps them tap opportunities in their own target market. Let's have the case of Vistaland and Lifescape Inc. Actually, this is a real estate company. It's under Villar, if you would know it. Based on the pestle analysis we have under political, the factors under the political is, of course, the money supply through the Central Bank of the Philippines. Vistaland under Manny Villar is in good terms with the CBP. That's why money supply is good when Villar companies are engaged with CBP. This case was last or was studied last 2011. Under political, they found out that because since this is 2011, the political structure is unstable. So it's an external factor under political that the Vista Land and Lifescapes Incorporated has considered. Under economic, they considered exchange rates that are high. Since 2011, the economy of the Philippines is still recovering from the 2008 crisis. That's why exchange rates are very high during during these times when Vistaland is formulating their strategies and policies. But during those times, they saw that the the consumers are aggressively purchasing real estate properties. Okay? Under social, since since the consumers are aggressively purchasing real estate properties, they notice that there's a bigger market for the real estate. And again, their business is real estate. And they notice this under social. Also, during those times, young professionals are mostly millennials, which which we call adulting. Uh, so, some of their consumers are really aggressively purchasing. Mostly young professionals are purchasing properties from them. That's why they notice this factor under the social category. Next is the technological innovation on construction and equipment. They notice this one since they are real estate and development industry. They consider this one under technological. Also, they consider the automated mass production of construction materials. Under environment and ethics, since they have fast moving materials in the construction and real estate industries, industrial waste are increasing due to the materials being used for the construction and the development. Also, they consider the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, mandated by the regulatory or the Environmental Management Bureau under the DNR. And under legal, of course, the construction and occupational safety and health regulations or health regulations. Since they are developing properties, it's very important for them to consider, of course, the construction and occupational safety and health regulations of their employees. And having said that, Vistaland has determined what are the opportunities and threats based from the external environment. We've mentioned a while ago that for an organization to be able to strategically formulate their policies, they must integrate they must integrate the external factors through the pestle analysis. They should integrate it. They should integrate it with the SWOT analysis. Since since under the pestle analysis, they itemize or they identified the different factors that may affect again and favorably or unfavorably in their organization, and they determined which are opportunities and which are threats. Under political, they determined that money supply through CBP are opportunities because CBP and Billiard Group of companies are in good terms. They can loan anytime. They found threat under political is the unstable political structure. Of course, since our development industry in on the real estate, there's a threat if the political structure is of course unstable. Under economic, uh, they they found it as a threat the exchange rates that are high. Of course, since they will be importing materials overseas. But on the other hand, they found that since since the consumers are aggressively purchasing real estate properties, they found it as an opportunity to develop more properties. Under social, uh, they found an opportunity for bigger market for real estate since the young professionals are purchasing their properties. Under technological, of course, they found it as an opportunity, the innovation and construction equipment, because they will make their employees more productive. Also, the automated mass production of the construction materials versus the conventional methodology, it's really an advantage that you have an automated mass production, for example, of which are the concrete hollow blocks, versus the conventional that you have to mix the materials and let them dry. Under environment and ethics, since they are construction or development industry, the increase in industrial waste and the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act are threats against the company that that they must consider, because the penalties for each violation is very expensive. That's why they have to consider that's why they consider this one. And lastly, under the legal, construction and occupational safety, health, and regulations, construction accidents are really rampant, and unfortunately, it happens in every types of construction activities. That's why it's a threat against them, because there's a money involved. That's why they found it as a threat. And after they determined based on or after they determined all the factors under the pestle analysis, for them to be able to strategically formulate their plans to for their target market, they determined the opportunities they determined the opportunities and threats that was solved by the pestle analysis and incorporated it with the SWOT analysis. They put it under opportunities and threats. And the strengths and weaknesses is actually under internal. But for the external environment, the opportunities and threats can be obtained. And by that, let's go back to the first clause we've mentioned. Companies cannot manage something they do not know. And it's very important to know the external factors or the external environment to run a company, because from there, you can strategically formulate policies for the betterment of the organization. And having said that, thank you for listening. This is Jeremiah Clemente. This is External Environment.